with authority.
All right, thanks for joining us on the With Authority podcast, ABC7. I'm here with Ricochet, WWE, and when we had a chance to catch up to pretty much any WWE superstar we wanted, the only guy I wanted to talk to was Ricochet. So again, I'm so sorry. You probably had far more interesting things to do today than to talk to me, but I got you for a little while at least.
No, it's good. Today is actually a great day. Today's kind of an off day for me, like we were talking about a little bit before. So today's kind of an off day for me, because we got Mondays, and then when we get back on Tuesdays are kind of my off days. I don't do anything, like working out, nothing on Tuesdays. Kind of just chill, kind of like reboot the system, for the week ahead.
Do you play a lot of video games? I saw you recently won the up, down, down. You won the title.
Left, right, baby. Oh, I'm an up, down guy, but I'm left, right.
So what kind of games do you like to play? Like if you're just kicking back, like you said, today is Tuesday, it's your day to relax. Like what kind of games are you playing?
Well, the past couple months or so, me and all my friends, we basically just hop on Call of Duty and we'll play some Warzone or some multiplayer or something. But that's kind of taking up most of my gaming right now because we kind of just all get on, as a group, we kind of just all play. But I've been getting more into NBA 2K and also the WWE 2K games because before when they were coming out, I was always just so busy. I never really played them, but I'm like, man, why am I not playing as myself as a character on this video game? So a couple weeks ago, I started playing it. And I'm like, man, this is so much fun. The WWE games, if you really just sit down and play them, they're so much fun, hours.
Dude, I spent a lot of time playing that game. I would make myself as a character. I would give myself probably a bunch of your moves because I like to think of myself as somebody that can do flips, even though I'm terrible. But you are you. You get to log in and you're already there. That's gotta be awesome.
It's amazing. It's funny because when I first started, back in early 2000s, 2003 is when I started. I you make a couple of I guess goals. Or whatever, just little goals. One, I wanted to be flown somewhere. Even if it was cross state, I wanted to be flown somewhere. I wanted to have an action figure made of myself. I wanted to go overseas. I wanted to be in a video game. But I never really thought I would be in a video game. I never thought I'd have an action figure. And you know what I mean? So those things are cool now that it's real life and it's possible.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be the I've made it moment because you and I are talking and. A lot of people will see you on TV, on pay-per-views, on the screen doing what you do, and they don't realize that it's not like a Ricochet just shows up and does this. There's a long path, a lot of indies, small shows, all the other work and the grind just to get to this level. So it's not like you just walk in the door and you're like, here I am, I'm a superstar now. I mean, there's a long process. So, I mean, to sit down and really see yourself in that way, it's got to be so special and so fulfilling. And also, I mean, for your son to see something like that, it's got to be really, really cool.
Yeah, man, it's, I think about stuff like that all the time, cause he's 12. So he doesn't fully express himself, cause they're still shy, but I always wonder, because I always ask my son, I'm like, what do you think about me having a video game character or an action figure? And he's like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, but I want to know what you're really thinking. I want to know what you're really thinking. So he definitely, because I mean, it is cool. And like you said, it is a long journey to have gotten this far. Like you said, don't just show up. It takes a lot of trial and error. And that's a lot of people ask me, how do you do so much flips and stuff? How do you teach yourself? I'm like, a lot of trial and error. So a lot of just
it's the error part you got to worry about too.
It's not so much the trial, but the error part for sure. But
for real.
It just it takes just a dedication, I guess. But man, it's cool. It's all paying off. It's all worth it. And it's like I said, if I can somewhat if my son look cooler to my son at all, so that's cool too. So
yeah, my oldest daughter's 8, and when I'm on TV, she's like, I don't care, whatever, Dad. I'm on my iPad. And whatever.
Come on, man, you should be watching me on your iPad.
Nope, no chance. She might watch this on the iPad because this will end up on YouTube, and that'll actually get to other people. That might get to her. I want to take it back though. How does Trevor Mann become Ricochet? Because I see what you do. It defies all logic. I mean, honestly, we always have Raw, SmackDown, everything on the TVs. We have a big TV wall in front of us in our sports department.
Nice.
When you come on, we literally drop everything. We stop working and we just watch, because you always do something that just, it's inexplicable. So when you were a kid, when you were growing up, like, when did you realize, hey, I could do like a double front flip or a double back flip or anything like that? I mean, how did you come up with that?
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned it, because like, yeah, every time that I go out, whether it's for a tag, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, main event, like whatever, whenever I'm out there, I always try to give the people something that they will go home and they will remember, because we don't get a lot of time when we're out there, so when we're out there, I try to use every minute, every second, and try to get the most out of that. And I try to always leave them with something they're going to remember. And like you said, I get people all the time, literally all the time, telling me about how crazy and how wild it is to watch. And I guess it all really started, you said, how does like Trevor Mann, because Trevor Mann really now has to separate himself from Ricochet character, because like you said, like, it's so funny because Trevor, like me, I like the thought of right now, like doing a backflip or doing a front roll or doing anything at all, like, sounds horrible. And I would never want to do any of that in this moment. But for some reason, when Ricochet, like when I step into those ropes, that's when you become like Ricochet, and when you come out of that entrance, that's when you become Ricochet. And it's just you don't think about that. You're just feeding off the energy of the fans. You're feeding off of your adrenaline. You're feeding off of all this stuff. And I guess I started doing rolls and flips and stuff when I was like 5, 6 years old. Mm-hmm. So that part, I've just been doing it for so long. It's kind of second nature to me. You know what I mean? So, but it really is like something that I have to kind of warm up to now, because the thought of doing it now, I guess maybe that's because getting older. Like I'm getting older, so like
I'm 39. Really, I got you by a few years, I'm pretty sure. And like my New Year's resolution this year was to learn a backflip. No joke. And I was like, you know what? I got the kids a trampoline. I've never been able to do it. I've always been able to front flip and twisty flip. And I just had this mental block. And so I'm like, I'm doing it this year. I'm doing it. And I'd watch you and I'd be like, well, I mean, if you can do that stuff, I can do at least a backflip. So I finally learned it. But you find that it hurts a lot more the older you get.
It does. It really does. And it's funny because a lot of especially with the backflip, because you can ask really anybody, if you know anybody that can do any type of tumbling or flips or anything, like ask Reggie, ask, anybody, like doing backflips are so much easier than doing front flips. Like
that's what I figured out.
Mechanically, it's easier. It's more of like a mental block because you're not used to going backwards.
Yeah,
that's where the mental, because most people will probably have the athletic or the ability to do one, but it's like the mental block is the hardest thing to get over.
But you mentioned Reggie, and we were talking about young Trevor, but like Reggie was a Cirque du Soleil performer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have that background. You were just a kid growing up in Kentucky. So how did you end up figuring out what you could do? Like, did you have a trampoline? Did you do gymnastics? How did this happen?
I had a trampoline around like 5 or 6 years old for sure. But I started wrestling. I started training when I was like 14 years old. So the day I turned 50 on my birthday, actually October 11th, the day of Raw. October 11th is my wrestling anniversary and my birthday at the same time. Great.
Nice.
So I've just been doing it that long. So it just kind of comes with it. But yeah, when I was younger, we had trampolines and my friends had like trampolines. And like while I was doing like wrestling and honing like my abilities in wrestling, even Reggie, who wasn't a wrestler, but he was doing the Cirque du Soleil. So he was still like honing his craft in just a different, because actually the Cirque world and the rest world are kind of, parallel. It's just both are like live action, high stakes theater.
Yeah, I don't want to like waylay us too much. I've done a lot of stories with Cirque du Soleil because there are so many, I'm a sports guy, but there's so many parallels to professional sports in Cirque du Soleil. It's like a natural progression. Yep. So it's incredible what they do, but they do a lot of what you do too. Travel year round, like training staffs with them, crazy physical feats. It's amazing. So yeah, I could see that. Man, whoever bought Ricochet trampoline, was that your parents?
Yeah, like I remember my dad going around to like a couple of local places and trying to get like a secondhand trampoline,
That's
for
the best purchase ever made right
it
there.
was great. It's so much. We like always like put it next because in our front yard we had this huge like tree with like different like level branches and stuff. And by the end of the time there, before I moved out, the tree, like one side of the tree was just completely like empty from all the times we like climbed up it. But like we go up the tree and jump out onto the trampoline, just little
Yeah.
kid stuff.
I had a trampoline in the side yard, and my parents wanted to kill us because we were always on the roof jumping onto
On the
that
roof of the
trampoline.
house, yeah, oh yeah.
Jumping up to the roof, jumping off the roof, man. Oh, we're so lucky we
They
didn't
just
get
don't think
sued.
about this stuff, but yeah,
Yeah,
we
no.
just
Now you have nets.
that's
Like everyone's got nets on trampolines.
yes.
It's
I think
soft
those
these
are
days.
probably more dangerous though. Like I think you're gonna get caught on that net. Maybe that's just me.
You could pretend they're ropes though, kind of,
Hit it.
WWE style. It's all right. Let me ask you this. We kind of alluded to this earlier, but when the pandemic hit, travel kind of cut back for you guys. There's a lot of performance center shows, but I think, and I'm not like somebody that was a professional wrestler, but I think the crowd in sports entertainment, if you will, is such a massive factor. So, when you were talking earlier about psyching yourself up, before you come through the curtain and come out, when you are trying to psych yourself out and you come out there and there's silence, I mean, other than your music, obviously, but how did that play for you? That had to have been so difficult.
Well, luckily, I say luckily, but like, luckily, like when I first started in like Tennessee and Alabama and Illinois and all these like little areas, like I basically wrestled in front of nobody, literally, like even upwards to like, years into the business, we'd go to a show and there's, more people in the backstage than outside watching, watching the show.
Yeah.
So, and it's just always, and I guess that's the difference. There's like two groups. Like there's some people who absolutely love the art of professional wrestling. They love doing it. They will do it in their backyard in front of nobody just because they love doing it. And then there's some people who will like only do it for money and will only do it for specific reasons and only do it in front of fans and only, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm one of the guys who just, since I was 8 years old, have just loved professional wrestling. I've loved it my whole life. And obviously it helps because, people at home are watching, people,
Yeah.
you go out there in the
If
Thunderdome.
there's like a million people watching, you're going to be stressed out no matter how loud it is, right?
Exactly. There's screens and you get your music and they pipe in some noise and the screens, like the people are at home watching. So I kind of look at the people at the screens and stuff and see them. But like, honestly, like I'm just in the group of people who just love it and will wrestle in front of, nobody. Obviously, like people are watching, but who will wrestle in front of nobody and just, I will always just try to, anytime I step into those ropes, the ring is a very sacred place for a lot of us. It's very sacred. It means a lot to us. It literally like saves our lives. Most of us like keeps us off the street. So we owe a lot. We owe our lives to wrestling. So it's just something that I was literally born to do. It was something that I just love. I have a passion for it. And it's hard for me to not give my all, even if it's in front of nobody or if it's in front of thousands. It's hard for me to not just go out there and give my all.
But that being said, now, like when WWE comes to the Bay Area, there are going to be crowds. There's going to be big crowds. So, I mean, how much does that help you too? I mean, how great is it just to see people in person and hear that pop?
Dude, I remember going back for the first time and having fans. It was just like night and day. It was like, although like being at the Thunderdome was a cool experience and it was a learning curve for a lot of us who've never been through that. And it was a new experience and it was pretty cool. But man, it's just, there's nothing that just compares to a live crowd. There's just nothing. The energy, the electricity, the atmosphere, like who's not going to get pumped up? Who's not going to get, like when you hear pyro starting the show, welcome to Raw, and it's live, and who's not going to get pumped up, man? It's a spectacle for sure. And that really like just helps us go out there and perform, man. It's night and day.
What are some of your favorite places to go? I know you get to travel the world. So what are some of your favorite places that you've been to Understandably, when you're traveling, you're probably trying to get into the arenas, get your stuff set up, get going. But do you get any time to really see a lot of these places you're going?
Man, that's the thing. I've traveled for 12 years, constantly traveling now. And I've never, like, other than like a little bit here or there, maybe we got to go see like a little cool little mountain or a cool little something, like, obviously other than Japan, because I basically kind of lived in Japan for like 3.5 years. So I got to see a lot in Japan, which might be my like favorite place to go. Japan might be my favorite place that I've been around the world. But I really haven't, especially Europe. I know there's so many places I've been in Europe that I haven't got to explore, see any of the cool castles or any of the cool like monuments or anything. Because we're just kind of busy, especially like you said, we land early in the morning, probably take a nap until we have to get on the bus, to get to the show, or like some of us will get there, we'll go straight to the gym to work out, in time to like shower, eat, get ready to go to the show. Like it's kind of because some people will land and go do the sightseeing and then go to the show. So there's like a different group of like what you want to do, I guess. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
People don't get that, but like, I traveled as a baseball beat writer and people are like, oh man, you went to New York. How was that? And I was like, well, you want to hear about like the Residence Inn or like the Yankee Stadium clubhouse or the airport? That's all I saw. I can tell you
a lot about JFK.
Yeah. You want to hear about like the cab? Like, we don't see anything. Yeah. I mean, we watch the game, you write about the game, you go to the hotel, you sleep. That's about it. You talked about your love of wrestling growing up, and I know that one of the people you watched a lot growing up had to have been Triple H. He was one of my favorite people growing up. Later on now, you got to be in a mentorship position with him. And honestly, I just heard he had a heart thing too, so hopefully he's doing okay. But what was it like to kind of go from, being a fan to being able to kind of pick the brain of somebody like that, the cerebral assassin?
It was great. Actually, him and Shawn Michaels both.
Oh, I know. Legendary,
because when I was in the Performance Center, Shawn Michaels had like a small little class that he would teach. It was like me, Undisputed, like Johnny Gargano. Just a couple of us were like in this group. I think Tommaso Ciampa's in there. Either way.
It's a good company.
Yeah. So learning from like Shawn, and then like every week we're at TV seeing Hunter, and like getting to learn from him. And a lot of the stuff that we performed out there for everybody was like partially because their ideas, like they're handing it to us, and it's just, but it's cool because my whole life, I guess when I got older, I understood, but like being younger growing up, like, man, I hated Triple H.
He's a good heel.
I hated him. But now when I grow up, I appreciate that feeling because I knew like that's what he wanted me to feel at that moment. So I'm like, man, he's so good. And going back and watching everything, all the little things, him and Shawn both, all the little things, like when they're talking, you're like, oh yeah, that's totally obvious. But why didn't I think about that? Or like the way they say, it's just, you'll ask them a question. Hey, I was thinking about this. What do you think? And they'll like just say something. You're like, oh no, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. I'll be back.
You know what I mean? Light bulb goes off.
It's so crazy to, like you said, go from watching them every Monday to like just being there and being able to like listen and grow. And like, it's hard to even like not ask questions because we're always asking questions. But like for me, like a guy named Eric Thomas is a hip hop preacher. He always said, when you in a room with a guru, he's like, it's time to like listen. You don't want to shut up, don't talk. When you're in a room with a guru, it's like, you got to listen. There's a reason why he's a guru and you're not a guru. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to listen. And just, that's all we was doing, just listening, because both of those guys, man, they have so much knowledge to give.
Now, what about a guy like Rey Mysterio? Because, I grew up watching Rey, and the stuff he did was mind blowing. And the thing that set him apart in my mind was he would do it so cleanly. Like there was never any botches. You would never mess it up. And then when I saw you reminded me so much of that, because you're doing these things that are just unparalleled and you make it look so easy that it's just incredible. Like you're not messing this stuff up. It's highly, highly difficult.
Yeah.
And, the way that you were so clean in the way you do it and the way that he did it, was awesome. And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this, but I remember seeing you as Prince Puma the first time you got to work with Ray, I think. Yeah. And I just thought to myself, that must be such a special moment, because I see these two guys is very, very comparable in a way.
Oh, for sure. And even that match, a lot of people ask me, like, what's your favorite match? And it's hard for me to pick a favorite match because I have favorites for like specifically different reasons. Mm-hmm. But if I had to, like, at the end of the day, pick one up to this point of my career, like, that match has to go top 2, top 3 favorite matches ever, just because of what it meant to me and like what Ray means to me. And dude, that because we've had a couple, we might have even had a couple before that match, like on the independents, one overseas, one in like New York. But that one specifically, man, I was just like, I remember it's so funny, like after the match, because he leaves the ring. I'm about to leave, and he stops me. He's like, no, this is your moment. You stay. I'm going to get out of here. I'm like, even though he just won, but everyone was cheering for me either way.
Yeah, yeah.
So I go to the back finally. I try to find his little locker room. And I go to this locker room, and I'm trying to just say, hey, thank you so much for this match. It means a lot to me. Like, you've obviously been a huge inspiration. You've been like, you know, like someone I've looked up to for so long. So just thank you. I was trying to talk to him and tell him all this stuff. We're sitting there, everybody's around, and I'm just like crying. I can't even speak. I'm like, just like, so, like literally like so emotional. Like, and he's like, no, I know, man. He's like, and it's so cool. And like, even at that moment, like, he was like, man, he goes, I love that, dude. He goes, man, I wish you could have met Eddie. He goes, Eddie would have loved you, bro. He was like, Eddie was watching that one for sure. And like, as soon as I started like feeling better, he says that, and it's like I just start instantly like crying again. Like a puddle at that point. I start instantly crying again. But yeah, man, like I think he knows like the respect level that's there. You know, I think he knows like the inspiration and everything, and it's just cool. And to be able to like share a ring with someone like him, you know, it's so cool.
So I want to get into a couple specific moments because I mean, I could rattle off 1,000 of them, but that double backflip, double moonsault you did War Games off the cage has got to be one of the craziest things I have ever seen. So first, I want to just know, like, what is going through your mind as you're going up there about to do that? Can you think? Do you just have to do it? What is that?
Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I'm like, it's funny. I'm thinking, I hope they're not too close, because I'm just gonna overshoot them. That's what I literally, because I can't see. I can't see them, so I'm like, I just hope they're not too close, because a lot of times guys they tend to get closer because they think that's better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that's not always the case. But that's literally I remember at that moment I was thinking, I hope they're not too close, because then I'm just gonna hit the ring and that's gonna suck.
That'll hurt, yeah.
But like, because again, it's the adrenaline's kind of taken over, so you're not really thinking about the consequences. The electricity of the crowd is taking over, so you're like feeling it. And then also like it's just repetition, like Kobe said. Like I've been doing flips. I know the control. I know the momentum. I know all the ins and outs of the technique of it, because I've been doing it since I was 6. It's nothing I haven't done before on a trampoline 100 times. You know what I mean? Like,
but on the top of a cage onto a bunch of dudes.
But that's where the adrenaline and the crowd and the electricity and the atmosphere, that's where all that kind of takes over. You know what I mean? And also you got to kind of be a little stupid, a little crazy. You kind of got to be a little crazy to do a double backflip off the cage.
For real?
You know?
It's insane.
So I'm on adrenaline, and it's like, you know, the Jeff Hardys, all those guys, we're just adrenaline junkies. We're all just adrenaline junkies. We like it.
That's cool. I mean, I also think if you're like, you're going to climb up there and you're at the top and you're like, well, I'm Ricochet. I can't just climb down now. I got to do something.
I can't just climb down now.
What about like,
nobody's seen?
What are some of the other bumps like that you've done? I could think of like when you jumped over the top rope, landed on your feet in front of Velveteen Dream.
That was Triple H's idea.
It was Triple H. Wow. Yeah. That's one of the coolest things.
We were all like going over like that segment.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out like an exclamation mark, something that's really going to get the fans.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Like, what can I say? What can I do? And we're all just sitting there thinking like, what can I, Dream's talking like, and I'm in the ring. I don't have a microphone. So I'm like, we're like, what can I do? Can I do something? And we had a bunch of scenarios, and none of them, some of them were good, but none of them just like, and then Triple H, like, we're just sitting there and he's like looking. He's like, it'd be cool if you could just like, he says his line or whatever, and you just like run, flip out of the ring right in front of him and just like, well, just show me. He's like, did you do that? And I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, I know the mechanics of it, but I've never done it. But so he asked me, can you do that? And I'm like, yeah.
Of course you say yes.
I don't want to say no. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was like, do you want to try it? I'm like, no, because what if I mess up and I get hurt? I don't want to try it. You know what I mean?
Wow. So that was the first time you did that?
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Like, one take. Yeah. I don't want to try it. You can't, there's nothing you can really try,
Yeah.
There's nothing,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I guess you could put a crash mat and I could like jump onto the pad, but we didn't really have time. And you still have other people trying to use everything. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just do it when I'm out there.
How high is that top rope from the ground?
It's probably got to be 8 feet.
Okay. I was thinking around 10 probably, but yeah, it's got to
be.
Well,
10's like a basketball goal. That's
yeah, exactly.
And I don't think it's as high as a basketball goal. I'd say about 8 feet.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Is there something, I know that spot, if I sit there, we watch, we obviously watch you on the TV all the time, but when we pull up the YouTube videos, it's that one, the one where you jumped and landed in front of Velveteen Dream, where everyone's like, whoa, that's crazy. I mean, and if you messed that up, that would have really been tough.
That's the thing. Yeah. It's like, I could have hit the top rope and fell. Like I could have like over rotated and land. I like under rotated and land on my back, just swanton. What if I just swanton bomb to the floor?
Yeah. Then you'd have to try to like move up and actually like act like you meant to hit him. That'd probably be the only possible way to save that scenario. But let me tell you what I think of that. I think that's the ultimate show of faith from Triple H to you, that he could come up with that with the confidence in you that you could actually do it. That's got to be huge show of faith there.
And, it means a lot to me. And it's actually funny. Most of the crazy things that I have done, especially on like Raw, has been someone else's idea for me. They're like, I had this idea. I don't know if you can do it, but I'm thinking if you could just like do this. And I'm like,
yeah, why not?
I could try it. Well, because for me, like, I know I've been doing it so long. So I kind of know my capabilities. I know where to like stop. Because sometimes they're like, I was thinking of this. And I'm like, no, that's absolutely impossible. They're like, yeah, but you're Ricochet. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not an alien. It's actually impossible to do. You can't do that. And they're like, okay. And I'll think of something else. But like, so I know, like, I don't ever do things that I think is out of range of my capabilities. Even if I've never really kind of done it before, or if I've never like, attempted something like it, like I know it's well within my capabilities. So, and I know the mechanics of it. So now it's like, especially when you are live and you're in the ring and they're like, you got to go, you just got to go and you got to do it. So you don't really get a chance to think about it. I always say, use your instinct. Don't think. Because sometimes when you think, you overthink and you mess it up because you stutter. So sometimes it's just better to do it.
Did you have like, I know when the Olympics just happened, Simone Biles, she said that she had the twisties. Did you have any empathy for that? Like, has that ever happened to you? Is that something that's ever come across in your career? Because I could imagine if the mental block gets in the way, it's got to be really tough to overcome something like that.
I will say she is doing a ton more twists.
You got that point right.
Than I am doing. Most of mine is like a double of 630 is only like 1.5. It's really compared to what Simone Biles is doing. But it is still the same thing. So I don't think I'm like, she's doing it like on an Olympic, like she's probably doing 3-4 twists in the air before she lands on the ground. I might do 1.5. And she's doing them repetitively. Boom, 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 boom. I might do it, hit the guy, and then hurt myself for a second, like. So it's like a different league, different caliber, but I understand exactly what she's saying and exactly what she's talking about. And she's correct. Like, it is a real thing. A lot of us have to go through. It's a real thing a lot of us deal with. But, you know, especially in the sports world, it's kind of hard not to, you got to tough it out and like be strong in the sports world. But so
it's
no, it's
unfair
cool.
in a lot of ways.
It's something that a lot of athletes deal with, but I've luckily never really had it to like that caliber. But yeah, for sure. And especially even if I did, like luckily, like within especially the WWE, they're so good about like if you mention like, oh man, my head's kind of weird, they're like, okay, yeah, well, let's make sure you're good in this, and you're like, yeah, but I can wrestle. And they're like, no, you probably can, but let's make sure you know. So they're really good about that stuff. They're really good about that. So that's what kind of also helps us if we're even feeling some way, whether it's like a mental thing or a shoulder or knee. If we're feeling something, they're there to help us take care of it. So that's cool.
Yeah, I can imagine they'd much rather have you able to go out there than have to miss a bunch of times. So it's good that they take care of you guys physically.
Oh my gosh. One time I had a bursa sac in my elbow had bust, and it was like pretty swollen. And then I guess that got infected. So they had to like cut it open and get the infection out. And man, it was like the day of Raw. And I was supposed to do something with like the Generation X, and we were supposed to do the crotch chops. And I was supposed to say, we got 2 words for you. It was going to be a childhood dream. And they were like, no, you can't go out. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not even wrestling. Like, yeah, but we don't want that to get infected more, like to get someone else. And I'm like, no, guys, I'm like, please, you have to let me go out. And they're like, no, we just can't let you go out. I'm like, please. I was like, please. And they said, no, they never did let me, but it's for my own good, because obviously
it's for you.
Gotten more infected, or could have infected some, obviously, so I was just like, no. So defeated. I wanted to say, we got 2 words for you.
Oh man, I grew up on that too, so that would have killed me.
We all agree, yeah. So, but that's why the WWE medical staff, A+, everybody is really there for you.
Probably don't have much more time with you, but I got to ask, training video wise, some of the videos you post on social media, honestly, might be crazier than what you do in the ring. Like I saw when you're doing flips up mats, which was incredible. I mean, is difficult. Do people like fall over watching you at the gym? I mean, how do people react when they see?
It's funny. That one was actually with one of my homeboys. His name's Stacey Irvin, who was also like an Olympic level gymnast. He trained at the Performance Center for a little bit before he found a new passion and just decided to go with that. But we just wanted to we always try to, he and I specifically, we always try to, I don't know, because everyone puts out like them doing a bench press or them doing some squats or them doing some bicep curls. Everybody see, but like we can do things that people can't do. So let's put out some cool, and even people who can do like front flips, but are trying to challenge themselves and, maybe work on making them somehow, or just challenge themselves. So we try to always put out something cool and something fun and something that, again, people are going to remember, and people are going to be like, that was cool, and like stuff you want to see, that, again, like we can do that a lot of people can't do. Basically, that's all that is. And we are having some fun, I put out a little bloopers too, and I was trying it and failed.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's all cool. But we just try to put out some different material of like some cool acrobatics and stuff. So
I guess I'll end on this, but WWE Draft coming up. What's the future for Ricochet? What do you got going on?
That's exactly what I'm here waiting on right now. I ain't really been doing much for the past 5 weeks. But that's because we're just kind of waiting, buying our time, waiting for the right moments and stuff. But I'm super excited for the draft. October 1st, October 4th, they're going to be the first days. It's going to start it off in SmackDown, I think, in Baltimore. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to wait for that. I don't really have a specific brand I'm hoping to be on. For me, it's just wherever I land, I know at that moment I've got to make an impact wherever I'm at. You know what I mean? And again, like we were saying earlier, people all the time telling me, I want to see you. I want to see you. So
drop everything. Drop everything when you're on the screen, for real.
So, and that's, again, I get that a lot. And so I'm just waiting for my opportunity to strike, I guess. I'm on my Randy Orton right now. Waiting.
Like a viper.
Like a viper.
Waiting.
So,
all right, Ricochet, you're the man.
But yeah, I'm just ready to make an impact, basically.
I won't take up any more of your off day.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get to kick back. I saw you doing some backflips on a video with your son in the pool. That looks super fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what he can do if he's learning from you.
Man, he's already crazy athletic.
That's great, man. Thank you so much for your time, Ricochet.
Not a problem, man. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. This is great.
With authority.